Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my card making space. And a really fun and cute card using this Rain or Shine set from Simon Says Stamp. I've had this set sitting out for forever. And I wanted to test out, we talked about this in my most recent live stream. I wanted to test out this Rainbow Splash black ink with alcohol markers. Specifically, I tested it out with my Copic markers. And spoiler alert, it's a win so far. First impression, it works great. I'll be using it more over the next however long, but so far, so good. So yay for that. And yeah, a little bit of Copic marker coloring, some stenciling and splatter, all the fun things. So, as always, everything I used will be listed and linked in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. That is what helps pay the bills, enables me to keep bringing out content. And yeah, let's get into making the card. So for those that don't watch my live streams, we had discussed this in a recent live stream that the Simon Says Stamp Intense black ink that I have used for goodness, probably a decade. I forget how long I've been using that ink for stamping images that I color with alcohol markers. It's no longer available. And I wasn't sure if this Rainbow Splash ink, which is also made by Simon Says Stamp, would work, or like if it was a similar, if not the same formula. I haven't had a chance to contact and find out for sure if it's the same formula, but I was like, at the bare minimum, I can just try it. Why not? It's just paper. So I took some Simon Says Stamp smooth white 120-pound cardstock. This is the same cardstock I use for alcohol marker coloring. Have been same thing for so many years I can't even remember. And I stamped some of these little images from this Rain or Shine stamp set with that Rainbow Splash black ink and colored them in with my Copic markers. And yeah, this ink holds up great. I'm happy with it. I'll still find out. It's on the never-ending to-do list. I will still find out if it's the same or similar like formula, but this first impression with just these images, it was great. Like zero complaints. So I did very simple Copic marker coloring. Any alcohol markers will work. I've been getting questions about, what alcohol markers I recommend. I do love my Copics. I have a hard time, honestly, recommending them right now because of my Copics have been having issues with cracked caps, cracked bases, things like that. And their customer service has not been as good as it should be. So, yeah. I have been using Copics for almost 20 years, around 20 years. It's been a long time. And I do love them. But most of my markers are very old. So I have had very, very few issues. But yeah, thankfully we do have a lot of options now. We didn't back in the day, but now there are so many options. I have used and shown Olo markers. I still love them. I really like Altenews alcohol markers. I also have shown and done many videos using the Spectrum Noir tri-blends. Those are, of the four I've mentioned, Copics, Olos, the Altenew, and the Spectrum Noir. I'd put Spectrum Noir on the bottom of the list. And then the other three, the Copics, the Olos, and the Altenew alcohol markers, I would put to very similar in terms of just how they work and the colors available. And yeah, so those are the ones I can speak on. There are other brands and other markers out there. I can't say whether they're, what my opinion is of them because I don't have them. As it is, I've got a lot just from those top three. That's a lot of markers. Do you need them all? No, you don't need tons. But again, when it comes to coloring mediums, I'm tempted. I'm always tempted. So with all this coloring that I was showing on screen, this is all sped up in editing. I do not color this quickly. This still didn't take very long. I kept the coloring very simple. I did, you know, mostly 3 shade blends and did my usual darkest to lightest, which is just a convenience factor for me. And yeah, did that little bear. The little froggies in this set are ridiculously cute. This set alone is super, super cute. I'm going to have to do more cards using the set because there's a bunch of other images. I had a hard time choosing. I kept the symbol and only did 1 card because I wasn't sure if this ink would work, and I really don't like wasting time when I'm like coloring things like that. But I was like, oh, the ink worked. Everything's great. Love it. So we'll see. We'll see. But once I was done coloring, I took my Jelly Roll white gel pen and added just little dots and highlights and whatever. Again, not following any sort of light source. I just stick them wherever I think they'll fit, they'll look cute, whatever. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but I did go like heavy-handed with all the little dots and lines and whatnot because it's cute. It's cute. So worked my way around with that, and I've mentioned this in other videos with gel pens. You need to use them consistently. If you let them sit for ages and ages on end, they do start to dry out, and the easiest way to get them working again is to warm them up a little bit. I warm them up in the palm of my hand, like literally scribbling it on my hand. Most of the time will get it going again, and then just using it consistently. So this Jelly Roll 10 pen that I use and always link to, it's the same one I've been using for, I'm not sure how long I've had this current pen. It's been a long time, but I use it consistently enough that it works great. So after I'd added all my little dots and highlights and whatnot, I used the coordinating wafer dies to die cut all of these. So got all those lined up and then ran those through my die cut machine. And then I pulled out the Cloud Borders die set and I die cut another panel of Simon's Smooth White Cardstock. And then the last time I used this die set, I had die cut some of Simon's masking paper with the wafer dies to create my own like little masks, little stencils. And they've got a bit, because it's masking paper, they've got a little bit of like low tack adhesive on the back, kind of like a Post-it note. So, and I had put those back in the package last time I used it because I will keep using these until they're, either oversaturated or I tear them or whatever. I'll just keep reusing them. So I'm going to use those to stencil the cloud edges. And I'm using this ink trio from Simon, the Dew and Mist colors for this portion. And just adding ink. Super simple. So the Dew color is the lighter color. So I add that and then I go in with a lighter hand with the Mist shade, which is just a little bit darker. And I just work my way down this panel to blend on these inks and give it this like cloudy sky look. And same thing, I sped this up in editing, but this is definitely one of those things where it's just, you can almost like shut your brain off and just add the color. And it's another one of those things where it's satisfying every time you peel off the little mask, and you just see that like edge. It's like, oh, love it. So worked my way down this little panel, adding all of this ink. And then once I get close to the bottom here, I'm going to add this final layer with this stencil. Then I'm just going to bring in just the ink directly onto the cardstock there, so it's not just like harsh white. And then after I did that, I stuck this to one of my grip mats, and I'm going to use another oldie but goodie. This is, I forget what this one is called. I'll have it linked. It's one of the big rain stencils from Simon's The Stamp. And over this, I am blending the darkest shade of this ink trio. So this is Raindrop. Seemed rather fitting. So I'm blending that. And then without removing the stencil, I'm going to go over this with some Distress texture paste. This is the Sparkle texture paste that looks white in the container. It goes on sort of white, but it's going to dry clear. And in this case, it's going to absorb the ink that I applied on the stencil. So I'm just going to apply this, and it has glitter in it. Not a ton. This isn't what I would call your typical glitter paste, because if you've ever worked with like actual glitter pastes, they're, very heavy on the texture and glitter, and they're fabulous. We love them. This has just a little bit, just little flecks of gold glitter. Super pretty. I've got press and seal on my container to keep it from drying out. So I put that back on, sealed up the container, removed the stencil, and then I immediately go and clean off my stencil and my little grip mat. And I set this aside to dry, which I applied really thin, and it won't take very long to dry. But while that's drying, I took the remaining piece of cardstock after I had die cut it, and I stuck that in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp one of the sentiments from the set onto this piece with Simon's Sweets ink. It's just a pink ink. And once I've got that stamped, I can use the coordinating wafer die for that, because the coordinating die set also die cuts the big sentiments in this set. So inked that up, stamped it. I'll die cut it with the coordinating wafer die. And then my background is now fully dry. So those raindrops have that shiny finish and that bit of sparkle to them. Love. And then I pulled out another oldie wafer die. This is the Sunburst Wafer Die. This came out a few years ago, and I think it's going to get discontinued because it's got an asterisk on it. I noticed that when with the listings, that this usually means they're going to retire it, but it's still available as of right now anyway. And I die cut it from Simon's bright yellow cardstock. And then I used Simon's banana cardstock for my card base. And my card base is a top folding A2 note card, so 4¼ by 5½ inches. And I adhered that die cut Sunburst to the card front, and then adhered my little cloudy raindrop background right on top of it, just like so. So cute. So cute. And then I'm going to add splatter, of course. Of course. So I put this into my splat box, and I'm going to add white gouache first to add a bit of white splatter. I wasn't originally going to add any splatter to this card, but again, those that follow me for long enough, you guys are aware, I have a problem. It's not a problem. I enjoy it. I don't know. That's it. That's it. I enjoy it. So put some white gouache on my palette, watered that down a little bit, and then used my fan brush to splatter that onto the background. And then I took some of my black gouache, put a little bit of that on my palette, and with a much lighter hand, I splattered this over the card front as well. Just trying to keep it from like fully taken over, because the black gouache is pretty intense. So I added the splatter, and then I'd also trimmed down just a panel of white cardstock to smaller than the card base. And I'm going to stamp another sentiment from the stamp set onto this panel with that same Sweets ink. And once I've got that stamped, I can then adhere that little froggy with the flower. Again, ridiculously cute. Love him. So I adhered him to that little panel, and that's going to go onto the inside of this card. So then once I've got this adhered into place, I can then adhere all the other little elements that I had colored and stamped and die cut onto the card front. So I'm going to adhere that like floral base with just the craft tacky glue. And then everything else I'm going to adhere into place with Simon's thin foam squares. They've actually got several options now with their foam squares. They've got the thin ones, they've got the regular ones in 2 different sizes, and then they have the black ones, which come in like 2 different sizes in a pack, I think. There's options. Do I have all of them? Of course I do. And it always just depends on my mood and, what I'm trying to do. So anyway, I just use the thin foam squares for these guys just to pop them up a little bit, give them a little bit of dimension. And then this final little froggy, he decided to go on a little adventure. So I just popped him off the side there. And then I just took a black marker and just drew a little like dash line, like the trail of his jump. I don't know. I just thought that'd be cute. So I just drew that in there. He's having fun. And once I did that, this card was complete. Because, I decided not to add any other bling. We've got the sparkly raindrops and the splatter and the die cuts and the cute little bear and these adorable little froggies. And, that was the card. So, like I mentioned in the intro, I'll have links to all the things in the description box below the video, so you can check them out if you're interested. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping and commenting. It helps a ton. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!